until now, I didn't interpret the whole video. But if you want to see future videos related to Bible study or random Christian topics, let me know and I will start interpreting the videos as we go.
So what are we doing here?
We are doing the intro video for our channel, our branch. And then we spilling
Just
water.
spilled water all over the place. We are not
Professional.
but our channel is going to be sort of our journey with spirituality and the idea of what were you saying, queering God.
The concept of queering God isn't like just LGBTQ queer. That's not like what it means exactly. It's just that that you're able to look at the Bible and think of God from a different perspective than the typical perspective.
Like a non-normative perspective.
And an inclusive, non-normative perspective.
Right. Because the people who are non-normative tend to be the people who are excluded. And that isn't just queer people, that's people of color, people with disabilities, really.
Minority categories.
Any minority category. That's kind of what we want to do here, to do this as often as we can. Lex wants to pursue a career in ministry. She wants to go back to school and go to seminary. So I prayed about it and felt that she needed a push. And it took a lot to get her on camera. But I think that this is a step for her in the right direction of getting that out there and dipping her feet into what that feels like and sharing her story and her perspective. And I think the beginning of her ministry, in my opinion.
Well, first of all, I am, how old am I? 27.
Turning 27.
So I'm 26 right now,
At
which
this
is what
point.
I said
Okay,
originally.
Sorry.
26, I think.
I
And
can't believe we can't even get that part.
I am a special ed teacher. I work with students with severe disabilities. A lot of people would consider, I don't like to say that though, I usually say low incidence, which means there's not a lot of them. So I have a lot of rare types of kids, for example, deaf, blind, deaf with autism, etc. Right now I'm working with at a school for the deaf. And it's awesome.
Oh, I am her spouse. It'll actually be 2 years in September. In September. I work in retail. I have been working in retail a very long time in various places. And my journey into spirituality actually came from her and has continued to grow together, I think, and separately, but in strength together. So, I guess a little bit of background. Do you maybe want to talk about, you don't?
You want me to go first?
Should I go first?
So I came up in Christian school, went to Black Methodist church my whole life, was always involved in the church, and God was a big part of my life. I wasn't just involved in the church, I also, from an early age, did a lot of real praying, talking with God, Bibling on my own, not just because someone told me to. It was something I was always interested in, and that was always very important to me and foundational to my identity. And it was also something that my family did. But when I hit 12, I had 2 questions for my mom that she would not answer, and my question was, how come women weren't allowed to be pastors in my church, and how come gay people, queer wasn't a thing that people said then, so I said, how come gay people didn't come to church? And she wouldn't answer them, but a lot of people did answer them for me, and they had a lot of terrible things to say.
They still do.
And they still do, so I kept my mouth shut for a while, and then I couldn't keep my mouth shut for as I had planned. So I wanted to do something in ministry since then, but I felt very blocked from doing so until college. And then in college, I was a part of a Christian fellowship there, an InterVarsity group, and I became the head of the InterVarsity group. I think they called it president or something, but like the head of whatever. And it was really cool. It was a cool experience. It was the most church-like thing that you can do, I think, at that age. And it was like transformative. And at the same time, I became heavily involved in the queer group on our campus, which is where I met Remy. And I originally was going as a straight ally. And then I learned about asexuality, which is how I identify. A lot of people just considered me for a long time one of those pure Christians, but really I just didn't care about sex or such things. And okay, so what happened was, in the time that Remy and I crossed paths, I ended up realizing that there were really cool things happening with the Christian fellowship. Like, no doubt, it was an awesome place to be. However, not everyone was welcome in that place, and that really bothered me, specifically queer people and people with disabilities, especially physical disabilities. Even the places that we met, like, we weren't very inclusive, and that hurt. Or accessible, and especially accessible in the language and things like that. And when I tried to queer that, it was okay to a point, but then when I started, like, inviting people, there was some backlash there from the community, the Christian community. And the queer community, I kind of went to, my part of the queer community, and I was like, is anyone interested in this? Because if you're not, I'll drop it. And a lot of people were interested, and I didn't feel that it was safe to bring them to the Christian fellowship where I had found a home. So we created our own space, and it was called QUIBS, Queer Inclusive Bible Study, which
Jinx.
It's a cute little acronym. It's still running there.
Hopefully, I don't actually.
No, it is.
It?
I've talked to leader is really cool, and they reach out to me, so I know it's still going, which is very exciting. But yeah, but I started that with a gay floor mate that I had. It was a vision we had from our freshman year. I was able to kick it off junior year because he didn't feel welcome in the space that I loved. So
sad.
And so Remy came to QUIBS, and that's where your story goes.
I did. I had my spiritual journey. I don't know. I tried finding something that would fit because there's a lot of pain there. I struggle a lot with various mental health conditions, and I think I was always very jealous of people who could just have faith in something and find comfort
You said
in
that.
I used to say it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very jealous of people who could find faith somewhere, and I looked for it in lots of different places and didn't find it. And I actually went to Catholic school growing up, and I was really burned, like kind of exactly what you were talking about that community where people just, what is that saying that I always say to you?
Church should be a hospital for sinners,
not a museum for saints.
Museum for saints.
And that's sort of what I felt, like people were only putting their best face forward, and a lot of the same questions. It is true, I feel, for me, at least in my experience, and things like queerness was not talked about, or if it was only in a negative way, and I grew up being really resentful of that, and really hurt, and really yearning for this this love that I wasn't getting, and I couldn't even put a word to that. Like, if you asked me if that's what I was yearning for, I couldn't tell you. I just felt this yearning, and I filled it with so many other types of things, struggled with a lot of other types of things, and I actually came to Quibs because a friend of mine, we knew each other at that point, but a mutual...
He was leading with me.
He was leading with her.
It was two of us that started.
I was just in a really bad place, a very dark place, and he was just like, listen, just come. I don't really trust you to be by yourself, honestly. Just come, put your headphones on, do your homework, whatever. So I came. I came every week with him, and I had my headphones on. I did. And then slowly I would have my headphones on, but I wouldn't have any music on. Then I took the headphones off. I would be doing my homework on the side, and then slowly I started sitting in the circle with them, because I would sort of sit off to the side with them. And then I found myself engaging in discussions, and at that point, having been someone who was very hurt and very angry, I was pretty much an adamant atheist. Like, I was just like, as an atheist, my opinion was as an agnostic
that
or
was
whatever.
Your catchphrase.
It was.
As an atheist.
As
or
an
it was
atheist.
more like, as someone who doesn't believe in this.
Right.
This
is my opinion. Mm-hmm. And I kind of think, like, how arrogant that is to come into a space of people where this is what they believe in and they're discussing it. So just jump in and be like, this is my opinion. I know you didn't ask for it, but here it is anyway. And what I was met with was Lex going,
As I do.
I hadn't considered that. Tell me more about that. And I was so taken aback because every time I had ever challenged a thought in Christianity, I was only met with people being defensive. And that only made me feel more pushed away, that I couldn't get answers to these questions that were very hard questions to ask. Like, why does the church hate gay people was a question that I asked. And the answer that I got back wasn't what I thought. And even the stories that we talked about, the scripture that we talked about, it didn't feel like the same scripture that I had read when I was in Catholic school. And then I kept going, on my own accord at this point, and these were all people I knew from my queer group, so I enjoyed spending time with them. And at a certain point, something just clicked in me. I was like, I think I might believe in God. And it was just a lightness to me. Like, just a calm that I hadn't felt, I don't think, really ever. And I remember being the one that just, like, corralled everyone to church every Sunday and would host people at my house to watch, like, Godspell and Passion of the Christ. I had everyone over for Easter who didn't have a place to go on Easter. Like,
that was good.
I think for me the biggest thing was I found a place where people's love spoke louder than anything we were reading. The warmth and the love that I received from people really, I think, was the scripture being lived, was the gospel being lived. I really think that, and I really think that for me, Christ has lived so much through people that I have met on this journey that, like, that is how I found my place in spirituality, and it's been an interesting road because I would not say, again, that my Christianity is anywhere near normative. Like, in my heart of hearts, I don't think there's a wrong way to connect with God.
Which brings us to the point of the channel.
That was a really good segue. The point of the channel is basically what we would like this to be, is a way for people to just kind of explore what Christianity is in a way that's not exclusive and that is really approachable. Oh, one more thing before we go, we just want to explain a little bit about what our branch is. Our marriage is based on that principle that we grow in each other, we grow in God, and we grow when we can share that with other people. And the verse that we took that from, this is my favorite translation of the Bible. It's not hers, but it's mine. It's literally called the Inclusive Bible. I will link it if you are interested.
it's inclusive because it takes out any language that's gender or racist.
Right.
Which is cool.
I'm into that.
It is John 15-5, which is our Wi-Fi password. If you ever come to our house, John 15-5. I am the vine, you are the branches. Those who live in me and I in them will bear abundant fruit. The idea that anyone can be connected to God as a part of that vine. The vine being God, not being like the church or even a specific denomination of church, like Catholic Church, Methodist Church. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the vine as being God. Everybody can be connected to God. This is our branch. If you can't connect on a different branch, the Catholic branch, Methodist branch, Buddhist branch, etc., then you can join our branch.
Come to our branch, hang out here, we'll take you. This is the first video. Let us know what you want to see, what kind of topics you want to talk about. I think we wanted to talk a little bit about the clobber passages next time.
Yeah, I mean, that's an easy place to start for, I mean, a lot of people are scared of those, but to me, that's an easy place to start for queer ideology. So we can branch out from there and take a fair look at any verses or any stories. Also, it's not all going to be just queer stuff. Remember, it's just a queer view. But because most of the people that will probably jump on first will likely consider themselves queer, just by our friend group, that's where I'm going to start.
Cool. Let us know what you want to see, and hopefully we will see you soon. Remember, God is love. Love you.